We're mobile. Take Fox Sports 1350 with you using iHeartRadio. It's the IE's home for sports. KPWK AM 1350, Riverside, San Bernardino. An iHeartRadio station.
Yes, we are back in the great city of Riverside at the iHeartRadio studios. It's IE Sports Net, protected by the Riverside Sheriff's Association. I am your host, Eternal.
And I am the one and only Coach B. You know, when it comes to Inland Empire Sports, the conversation starts and stops here. We're also streaming on FoxSports1350.com and the iHeart app.
Well, Coach, we have a great show lined up today. Really excited about what's going to be happening. And, we're on Saturday on quarantine. What's the good word, brother?
Same old, man. It's just we're excited to be here just to make it rock and roll. I mean, I know we're going to have a good show. We have a couple of people calling in. Sports are back.
Yes.
The Clippers went out there to Florida and put some whippings on a couple of people. So, you got to love that, man. I love to see that happen, Yeah,
no doubt about it. We, obviously, for the folks that don't know, we work directly with the LA and Agua Caliente Clippers. And some information, like actually on another note, we noticed that our guy Motley from the Agua Caliente Clippers has made an appearance, and he's now in the NBA bubble because guys like Montrezl Harrell, Zubac, I guess for whatever reason they're still making their way. I know Montrezl had personal challenges, but again, people are starting to get a little bit more acclimated. But right now in the interim, Motley is out there, and you know all about Motley, because you were right there. You saw his coming out party in Ontario. Oh, yeah. Talk about him a little bit.
Oh yeah, Motley's a good player. He was he spent 2 years in Ontario, and now I guess he's making his matriculation up to the next level. So it's always good when you can see players that are out here in the Inland Empire and then they move on.
Right. Yeah, and no question about it, as we're talking about again. Right here live on Fox Sports Radio, AM 1350, Coach being Eternal. And as you mentioned, Motley and some other guys. We've seen guys like Tyrone Wallace. He was probably the first one that we saw from the Clippers organization that's actually made their way up. And now they're doing some really great things.
Tyrone Wallace.
That was my guy right there. Big up to my man Tyrone Wallace, Bakersfield, up north. Good people, man.
He came back at the end of the season to the Agua Calientes this year. So I don't know what happened but he came back.
Yes. And so just real quick, we're going to have some really great show today, Coach B, as you know. We're going to have a young lady who's been really doing this thing. I mean, every time we go to a Clippers game or we get a chance to go to check out the Lakers, we always see this young lady out there. She's like a stop, one shot by herself, get it done. And we're talking about Miss Lauren Jones, and she'll be tuning in, or she'll be coming onto the show as a special guest a little bit later on to talk about the Dodgers as well as the LA Lakers. And, already they're talking about, LeBron is in the scrimmage. But I don't know, Coach B. I mean, what are your thoughts about the Lakers, their chances in the NBA bubble against young straight backs, Moreno Valley, and the rest of the NBA competitors going to be out there? What are your thoughts about the Lakers?
Well, you can see already the rest of the league is locked in on the Lakers because the Dallas, they showed them no mercy.
I know.
So they came out there, laced them up, and showed them, hey, we're here to play. So it was good to see NBA action coming back, but it's just we got to see how that works out with the Lakers because they have to bring their A game. People are gunning for the Lakers.
Yeah, well, they have AD and they got Bron, and as you mentioned, the Dallas Mavericks are a team on the rise. They got they got a few European players that are out there really doing some stuff, and they got a bunch of young guys that are out there that's doing some real good stuff as well. So They're a team you got to watch, man.
Yes.
Very, very tall, athletic team. They're definitely a team that's going to be on the radar. And then, as you know, I mean, obviously the Clippers, and for whatever reason, they're not getting a lot of mainstream love like that. I don't, you would think since they got a guy on there that just won the championship, two-time NBA champion, MVP, two-time MVP, if I am mistaken, NBA championship MVP, and so you would think they would get a little bit more recognition, but for whatever reason, they're not.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you got to go out and do something. You got to think to yourself, who is the reigning NBA champion?
True.
It's Toronto, and no one talks about Toronto. Toronto won the chip last year, and all you hear about now are the Lakers. You hear about other teams. You don't hear about Toronto. So it's one of those things. You got to keep winning. In Toronto, they have an entire nation. Believe me, ask anybody in Canada. They know who won the championship last year.
Tell me about it, man. Again, Fox Sports Radio, AM 1350. For anybody who wants to check us out, again, we're available on the iHeartRadio app, and that means you can take the show with you. That's always convenient, right, Coach B?
Absolutely. When you can do that, it's we always love to have that. Like we said, we're on foxsports1350.com live, or we're streaming on the iHeartRadio app. You can hear us live on that app, or you can hear us on the delay as well. Make sure you go on to the iHeartRadio app, subscribe to IE Sportsnet. Make sure you subscribe to us so that way you can always have IE Sportsnet with you. You can take it wherever you want to go.
No doubt about it. And then also we're going to have our guy Big Tank on. He's going to be talking about the contract is new, still the ink is still fresh, and we're talking about Mike Tyson, Iron Mike. Oh yeah, we got the great stuff now. This isn't the 20-year-old Mike Tyson. We're talking about Iron Mike Tyson. Is going to be putting the gloves on again in an exhibition match against Roy Jones Jr. And the last time we saw Roy Jones, his chin didn't, even though it's connected to his mouth, but his mouth was doing a little bit more than his chin did. So we're going to see. I mean, I'm really anxious to see how he takes a Mike Tyson a three-piece body shot, one to the body, one to the chin. What's he going to be able to do about that? So I don't know, Coach B. How you feel about that, brother?
That's an interesting thing because Roy Jones, and as I said earlier, when he made the jump to heavyweight, it kind of changed the direction of his career. So you can see when he put on the weight, he wasn't the Roy Jones we're used to.
Right.
He seemed a little sluggish. So it's going to be interesting to see him on Mike Tyson. And the funny thing is, that's the one thing about boxing is it seems like the heavyweights get all the love. You look at Floyd. Floyd's probably one of the greatest boxers ever to live. And because he wasn't a heavyweight, he's not revered as that way. When you think of boxing, the first thing you think of the Alis, you think of the Foremans, you think of the Frazers, you think of the Tysons. You don't sit there and think about the guys in the lighter weights. Sugar Ray is the guy. And even if you think about it, one of the greatest we never saw, but Sugar Ray Robinson.
Right.
True. And people don't think about those boxers because they're not the heavyweights.
Yeah, man. So again, it's a really interesting time right now because obviously everybody's on quarantine, so we're trying to figure out how to navigate through this stuff, and it's just it's uncharted territory. So you see the MMA, and you see a lot of other people that are starting to make their way back, and already talking about making their way back. The NFL and the NFLPA, the owners and the Players Association finally got on the same page, and Coach B, it looks like, at least right now, that players are going to be returning and going to camp next week.
Right.
So in the midst of a pandemic, whereas especially here in California, we may be reversing, maybe having to go on a shutdown. It looks as though right now NFL is making plans to move forward. So interesting time right now, man.
And I didn't get a lot of information on the NFL. I know it's going to be interesting because the NBA, you can put people in a bubble, so you can block people off. I don't know how you can do that with the NFL because the amount of players they have in Florida for the NBA, it's probably an NFL organization.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And, and then when you look at it's on the other side of the coin, you have the WNBA, and they're obviously going to be set to kick off next week. I mean, next week as well.
Tip-off.
Pardon?
The WNBA? You said kickoff. You mean tip-off?
I got a little football on the brain. Excuse me right now. I heard about my Cowboys. I got a little excited.
But that season is going to kick off, but we will say tip-off.
Yeah, right, tip-off. Tip-off would be more appropriate. But in their bubble, they're over at IMG Academy, and they have their whole they have their children in there. Some of them have their significant other. It's a really interesting dynamic over there with the WNBA. Obviously, I don't, we're going to see, especially compared to the NBA, because the NBA is like tight. They're talking about it's like, they got a hotline. They literally have a hotline.
Yeah, the snitch line.
Where you can call if you see somebody acting up. Like, guys like Dwight Howard have already been in trouble because people didn't put him out there on the hotline. So, the NBA's not taking any shorts, but whereas the WNBA, again, they, with their being women, a lot of them have, these are mothers out there. So they were saying they have children from 1 year old all the way up to the oldest, I think, they're saying is Candace Parker's daughter, which I think is like 11. So interesting, very interesting time right now. We're going to see a lot of happen. Again, we want to, for us sports enthusiasts, we want to see some kind of sports.
Yeah, and the interesting thing when you look at these players is the bubble. Like, they've already talked about players that have accidentally gone outside of the bubble, and then they have to be sequestered. You got to think, what if something like that happens during an intense playoff series? What's going to happen in that situation? But, on a bigger note.
Or even if somebody catches the 19.
Right. And on a bigger note, when you think about all the things that are going on as they're doing this, what's going to happen, like you said, if someone catches it and something happens?
Yeah.
But I would say with this, I'll tip my hat to the NBA because they're testing players. Someone had tweeted out, "This is my 20th test." That's the way you get a hold of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
You multiple and the rapid response.
That's what I was about to say. It's not about, obviously the testing is chicken and the egg. You have to get tested, but it's about the turnaround time is what the concern is, because clearly you could just be out there infecting folks. You see what I'm saying? You could be out there, literally people could be getting infected and you don't even know. So as you remember, that turnaround time is what's imperative. And that makes us regular people, things that make you go hum is why isn't that readily available for the general public, which could be saving lives right now. So that's a whole nother story.
Right, and the NBA, you think about it, they were they were in season, and they shut down in the middle of their season, and they prepared, and they got ready for this. And I would make another note. I know the players were complaining about, like you said, IMG.
Oh, yeah.
There was some NBA players that were complaining about the hotels.
Yeah, talking about those Motel 6.
You get to make millions of dollars playing a game.
Right.
There are people right now that are out of work, that are losing their homes. Be grateful.
Man. Just yesterday.
If you're in a Motel 6, I don't care. Be grateful.
I'm saying, and you're getting food delivered to you.
That part.
You know what I mean? But there's people right now, the rent just got cut off yesterday.
Yeah.
That rent that helped for all the renters out there. That's going to affect millions and millions of Americans.
And we got players complaining about the hotel accommodation.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think initially when you heard that, it kind of sounded cute, but when you keep, every day you're tweeting about the food and stuff like that, and people are literally in
going
lines.
to food banks.
Yeah, they're literally lined up in a car going to food banks for some folks the first time ever. That's it pales in comparison. So
absolutely. And speaking of that, what we're working on right now,
come on, Coach
we
B,
have to figure it out because like even my youngest son goes to Etiwanda High School, and we were told about a month ago that it would be hybrid. It would be some days on ground, some days online. They would separate certain kids certain times. So I know that changed. They talked about we're probably going to be all online, but the Inland Valley Classic, I know it's known for our marquee basketball and football games. We also do the Riverside Sheriff's Association All-Star Games. We do the 215 All-Star Games, football, basketball, volleyball, and soccer. They're all run by the 501c3 nonprofit Inland Valley Classic. We're going to get more involved. Eternal and I, we've realized there's a need out there. We're going to get more involved with the community, and that's our mission for 2020 and 2021. We're working right now on doing a back-to-school supply and haircut. We're trying to do one in San Bernardino County. We're going to do one in Riverside County, but we got to put it out there because that way we can hold ourselves accountable, because then our audience can say, hey, you guys didn't do this or that. So we're going to put it out there, make ourselves accountable, but we're working right now on doing a back to school drive. We already have the backpacks, and then we're working on getting haircuts for kids. We're trying to partner with some of our friends over at the Riverside Sheriff's Association, and we have someone that we're already partnering with in Rialto.
Right.
So we're going to keep it pushing. So we will keep you advised as that comes along. I know school normally starts in August. Like my son, we have to get him registered next week, I think, for his start date. So we'll see.
Right. Well, and like you said, I can't tell you enough. And again, we're right here live, Coach B and Eternal, Fox Sports Radio, AM 1350, every Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. But as you said, the Inland Valley Classic for the last, 5 years, Coach B and myself and our partners, we've really just been out here just trying to focus on the student athlete, making sure that they get through school, they understand, they have that support. We work really, really closely with these coaches, but in that effort, we found out, especially like last year, it really became, when I say last year, it almost seemed like a light year, like years away, but December, we worked with a coach, and he just talked to us about the need, whereas he takes his stipend and goes out and just feeds his kid. Doesn't even take the money, a lot of these guys put in their pocket, but he took that money and fed the kids, fed his players, because, he found out that a lot of times they weren't going to go home and get dinner that night.
Right.
And which is just, is insane. 2020, some of these kids were sleeping in hotels and it just really, really difficult situations whereas it makes you really grateful for the little things that you do have. So again, us trying to do something. So we got together, we said, what's important, even though kids are going to be taking Zoom classes and a lot of stuff like that. We understand the importance of kid having a backpack, kid having a fresh haircut. It makes them feel good about itself, makes them feel that, hey, the people that are concerned. And again, sometimes these are gifts or gifts in kind that they wouldn't have received otherwise. So really important for us. We're excited about it. And we challenge anybody that wants to be involved. Make sure you contact us. Coach B, where can they get in contact with us, man? IE Sportsnet.
Yeah, they do. And you know what? Speaking of that, the Fox Sports 1350, Coach B and Eternal, IE Sportsnet. You can always go to iesportsnet.com. Everything on social media is at IE Sportsnet. And I know even growing up in Downey was a upper middle class city. We moved from Compton to Downey when my mother remarried. And I remember even living in Downey. There was a time I had the bowl cuts.
Oh, yeah.
Where me and my boys would cut each other's hair.
Oh, yeah.
And when you go to school, the peer pressure and people saying, oh, you ain't got a fresh cut and this and that, and it's hard. So those are just the little things that we want to be able to help out. Should we take a commercial break?
We're going to go to commercial right now. Like I said, we have a great show lined up, Coach B. Man, when I tell you, again, we have a young lady, Miss Lauren Jones, will be calling in.
Who?
Right?
Lauren Jones. Who? Lauren Jones. Only a Gen X would understand that.
She'll be talking to us about the L.A. Lakers as well as the Dodgers. Mookie Betts. You got to look up that contract. This boy's paid. If you want to borrow $1, call that man up.
There you go.
But we'll talk to her about that. The Dodgers coming back, making her come back. As also, my man Big Tank will be calling in a little bit later on. He'll be discussing the Roy Jones Tyson fight that's now scheduled. So, Coach B, let's go ahead and take a break, man. Let's get out of here.
Let's go ahead and do that. Right, you are listening to IE Sportsnet, protected by the Riverside Sheriff's Association with Coach G.
And Eternal when it comes to Inland Empire Sports. You know the conversation starts and stops here, live on Fox Sports Radio.
What's up, world? This is your favorite comic, Tony Rock. And you're checking out Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. Kinematics Physical Therapy and Sports Performance looks forward to partnering with you in the restoration of your wellness and expediting you back to your active life. We'd love to see you at our spacious clinic, conveniently located in Norco at 1801 3rd Street, Suite 101. Call us at 951-777-2178. That's 951-777-2178. Or visit our website at kptsport.com. Our clinic is an outpatient orthopedic clinic designed to treat general pain, postoperative conditions, and athletic rehabilitation using research standards of care. When you step through our doors, your pain becomes ours, and we will work diligently to help manage whatever life has thrown at you. We provide educational and screening services to the community free of charge. Services provided include health screenings, monthly health courses, sports venue coverage, and fundraising. We'd love to meet you at our spacious clinic, conveniently located in Norco at 1801 3rd Street, Suite 101. Call us at 951-777-2178. That's 951-777-2178. Or visit our website at kptsport.com. All are welcome whom aren't afraid to recover their potential.
Box combo, please.
At Raising Cane's, we're all about quality. We mix cane sauce in our restaurants every day. And our chicken is hand battered and cooked to order. Our Texas toast is grilled with just the right amount of butter and garlic. And our lemonade is always freshly squeezed.
Love in the window.
And why do we do all this? Because it makes a difference. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Since 1952, ThinkWise Credit Union has served education professionals and families in Riverside, San Bernardino, and Orange County. ThinkWise gives back to the community with financial education and support to local schools and organizations. Join us today to experience a safe and comfortable alternative to banking that gives back. ThinkWise Credit Union. You'll feel good about what we can accomplish together.
Farmers Insurance, the office of Stacey Ann Holgate, is a proud sponsor of Inland Empire Sports. Located in Riverside at 3641 Adams Street, Stacey Ann's office is able to assist you with your financial goals in planning for your future. Her office can also assist you with your business insurance, home, auto, and much more. Give Stacey Ann Holgate's office a call today at 951-977-9899. That's 951-977-9899. And mention Fox Sports AM 1350. Stacey loves her community and the kids in it. She knows they are the future, and investing in them is an investment towards a healthier community. Wouldn't you want to do business with someone who cares about your children almost as much as you do? Contact Stacey Ann Holgate's insurance agency at 951-977-9899 for ways she can help you and your family with all of your insurance needs today. Located at 3641 Adams Street in Riverside, California, Stacey Ann Holgate Insurance Agency. She's on the air because she cares. Give Stacey Ann Holgate's office a call today at 951-977-9899. That's 951-977-9899.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
And you know I'm gonna get on Shaq with that picnic table suit.
Yo, this is Aries Spears on Fox Sports Radio.
We are Fox Sports.
Yes, we are back in the great city of Riverside at the iHeartRadio studios. It's IE Sportsnet, protected by the Riverside Sheriff's Association, right here live on Fox Sports Radio, AM 1350. I am your host, Eternal.
And I am the one and only Coach B. You know, when it comes to Inland Empire Sports, the conversation starts and stops here. We're also streaming on FoxSports1350.com and the iHeartRadio app.
Yes, indeed. Coach B, as we were saying right before we with the commercial, again, you guys want to make sure you stay tuned because we got a great show lined up. We're going to be discussing the Tyson-Roy Jones fight, as well as we're going to be discussing the Dodgers, their return. Had a great game last night. We'll be talking to Miss Lauren Jones, who's always on the scene for all the Southern California sports events. So we're really excited to have that young lady on. We'll have my guy on here a little bit later on. But Coach B, as we were talking about the efforts we're going to be doing here in the community. For a lot of people that aren't aware of what we've been doing, we host a series of all-star games, basketball, football, volleyball, and soccer. And obviously this year, our season, as well as the class of 2020, their season got cut short. So we've had to pivot. So we're going to be working with the community to make sure we go out there, serve the people. And, you know, one of the things we're talking about, mentoring efforts, helping kids further their education, and look for employment as well. So we want to make sure that we get that message out to the community and let them know that we're open to getting their help. We've partnered with people like the Riverside Sheriff's Association. We're going to be talking to a lot of people that are city officials here in Riverside County. We've already been working with Miss Mayor Warren, in Fontana, as well as Janice Rutherford and San Bernardino. Again, just kind of continuing our efforts. We've done some things like that, Coach B, where, we've already done turkey giveaways and stuff like that, where we're trying to go out there and serve the people.
Right, absolutely. And it's a community effort, because what we've learned is for this to work, it has to be the partnership of the community. So we've had some great assistance, like you said, from the sheriffs as well as Fontana PD. And if anybody out there is interested in getting involved and helping with the mission, make sure you go to iesportsnet.com. You can always contact us. Everything on social media is at iesportsnet, because we're going to start doing a drive where we, as I said, we have the backpacks, and now we want to make sure we have everything else that the kids need. Another big thing that a lot of these kids can't get is access to the internet. Man. So a lot of times you'll have these kids in these communities that you can give them a laptop all you want, but if they don't have access to the internet, that's an issue as well.
Yeah,
so those
no
are
question,
some of the things that we work to tackle.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things. As you said, man, I mean, these kids are getting tablets coming home, and they gotta try to do a bootleg signal, because these kids get crafty. Lord knows they're gonna try to do something. But yeah, that, like you said, just things like that people aren't thinking about. Where you have kids that. These are the basic things, as a school, you think, hey, we did a good thing by giving these students a tablet, but then they go home and they don't have access to the internet.
Right.
They don't have good, writing materials, reading materials, the things that they're going to need. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing this soon. We'll keep you guys posted. As Coach B said, we already got the backpacks. We're really excited about that. We work with our partners, and we're just trying to fill those backpacks up with stuff that the kids are going to need. And so we're going to be talking more about that. If people are interested in assisting us with those efforts, again, please reach out to us. You guys can send us a message on social media. Again, we're at iesportsnet, iesports, that's plural, net. And again, you guys can find us Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And if there's some people out there listening, you can find me on Farmers Only, taking somebody fishing today.
Oh, you reactivated it, man?
Yeah, I want to put it back, man.
There you go.
I want to put, like Q said, I went and got the curl back. I went and got the account back.
There you go.
But anyway, again, Coach B, got to give a shout out to my man, Kid J. Kid J, big shout out to my guy Mike. Came through, they hooked us up. They made sure that we had everything we needed, and it doesn't work without the committee. So really excited about that. Now,
absolutely. What time do we have our callers calling in?
I think, okay, so Miss Lauren Jones is going to be calling in here shortly. Do you have something you want to cover real quick?
Oh, no. I just want to let our people know.
Okay, yeah. She'll be calling in the next few minutes. Y'all want to make sure you stay tuned for that. But something else just going on, like I said, because I know Miss Jones, she's going to be talking about our Clippers. But, excuse me, about the Lakers, pardon me. But one of the things in terms of our Clippers, Coach B, that I am a little concerned about is, we got like Pat Bev, Lou Williams, and Montrez. They're not inside the bubble right now. I mean, we got to figure out if that's going to cause us to lose the chip.
Yeah, I saw that. What was the reason that Pat Beverly's out?
Well, a friend of his passed away, and so he's back in Chicago. Yeah. So and I believe that Montrez. Also, there was I don't want to speculate, but anyway, I know he had a death in the family as well. So yeah, it's, and again, this is what we're dealing with. It's we're in the middle of a pandemic, and then that's what we were talking about. We didn't really give it a lot of time, but the NFL is making efforts to come back. And as you mentioned, when you look at an NFL team, it's 32 people on the squad.
Oh no, it's more than that. You mean it'd be like over 60 people on a team.
Players?
Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking of college. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm thinking of college. My bad.
Hold on.
Yeah.
It's only 11 people on the field at a time.
Right.
But at any rate, as you know, the coaching, though, however, there's several coaches on that. I mean, the strength and conditioning, all of them have doubles. Quarterback coach. You got all these different coaches that are out there. And then, then it's NFL's big business, and you have all these people in the suits. So, I mean, I am really, really anxious to see how this goes. And the report mentioned, because they have to always give updates about the testing, and they said that 12 rookies have already tested positive. And again, when you look at the, obviously that makes you
53 men. I knew it was more than 30. 53 man roster.
Okay.
I just Googled it.
Okay.
Yeah, because you remember they do those cuts when you watch the one show. I forget the name of the show.
Okay. All right. Well, again, we're just going to tease it real quick, but looks like we have our caller calling in. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to have our caller, I believe it's Miss Lauren Jones. We're going to be talking to her about the LA Lakers, the NBA bubble, as well as the Dodgers. Coach B, you ready, man?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. You're listening to IE Sports Net, protected by the Riverside Sheriff's Association with Coach B.
Andy Turner. When it comes to Inland Empire Sports, the conversation starts and stops here, live on Fox Sports 1350.
Farmers Insurance, the office of Stacey Ann Holgate, is a proud sponsor of Inland Empire Sports. Located in Riverside at 3641 Adams Street, Stacey Ann's office is able to assist you with your financial goals in planning for your future. Her office can also assist you with your business insurance, home, auto, and much more. Give Stacey Ann Holgate's office a call today at 951-977-9899. That's 951-977-9899. And mention Fox Sports AM 1350. Stacey loves her community and the kids in it. She knows they are the future, and investing in them is an investment towards a healthier community. Wouldn't you want to do business with someone who cares about your children almost as much as you do? Contact Stacey Ann Holgate's insurance agency at 951-977-9899 for ways she can help you and your family with all of your insurance needs today. Located at 3641 Adams Street in Riverside, California, Stacey Ann Holgate Insurance Agency. She's on the air because she cares. Give Stacey Ann Holgate's office a call today at 951-977-9899. That's 951-977-9899.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
What's up, world? This is your favorite comic, Tony Rock. And you're checking out Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports.
Yes, we are back in the great city of Riverside at the iHeartRadio studios. It's IE Sports Net, protected by the Riverside Sheriff's Association, live on Fox Sports Radio, AM 1350. I am your host, Eternal.
And I am the one and only Coach B. When it comes to Inland Empire Sports, the conversation starts and stops here. We're also streaming on Fox Sports 1350 and the iHeartRadio app.
Yes, indeed. And we do have a caller calling in on the Boost Mobile Celebrity Be Heard hotline. Caller, if you would please introduce yourself to the Fox Sports Radio audience.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. This is Lauren Jones, a.k.a. Lojo Media. And, I'm Lakers reporter. I write for the LA Sentinel, podcast producer at Uninterrupted. Hold many hats, but I'm excited to talk with you guys today.
Yes, indeed. We always see you out, and you're like a one-person, get-it-done kind of thing. Give our audience a little background on how you got started and how you start doing your thing.
Yeah, a lot of people call me the one-woman band because I'm always out there with my tripod, my lights, setting up my camera, trying to get it done, on the Lakers court. But, I got started from AAU, actually. I used to travel with Cal Supreme, which is a local AAU team out here in Los Angeles. And, I would sit in the gym all day at these EYBL tournaments from Nike to, Peace Jam and all the like. And then I found the Drew League, and that's where my real journalism experience came from. At the time, they didn't have any reporter or consistent coverage. And I just thought, this is some amazing basketball happening at a summer pro-am league in a hot gym, but all these NBA players are coming down. And so it really allowed me to make that my platform and my own. And there I started to really get into professional sports and covering local Los Angeles sports teams, and kind of led me up to where I am today.
Nice. And again, Miss Lauren Jones right here live on Fox Sports Radio, AM 1350. Now, you obviously you're always at the Laker games, and you cover a lot of Southern California sports. But yesterday, you were in a unique situation where you were at the Dodger game, second game they've hosted under the current situation with the pandemic. And I'll just ask you, just as a reporter, how was that experience yesterday? I mean, just as a reporter, seeing that the fans aren't there. Give our audience a little background how that was.
Yes, it was really strange, to be quite honest. I mean, I've gone to several Dodger games, and a couple years ago I was covering them pretty consistently when they were making their World Series runs. And obviously this year, so far so good. They look poised to do it again, but just to walk into a completely empty stadium, Dodger Stadium, you know, where I've just seen it so filled with fans. I've seen the concession people walking up and down, the shouting. It was just weird to be one of maybe like 30 people in the entire stadium, excluding the players. And to see these little cardboard cutouts, that were supposed to be filling in as fans, but they had crowd noise pumped in during the game. But when we first arrived, it was just like completely silent, and all you could hear were literally the bats, the players, and a little bit of background music. But it was cool though. It was a cool experience to be able to see a Dodger game in an empty stadium, and to, as a fan, and to really be able to get that experience. We got to pick up some foul balls, that were going into the stands. So, So it was a cool but very eerie, weird experience. And obviously everybody's wearing masks as well. Not really interacting with media. Everybody was 6 feet apart, and kind of in their own little cubbies. It was like you have your personal box basically to work in.
Right. And again, we're talking about the LA Dodgers. Now they have a new addition. Obviously, they have Mookie Betts, and like we were saying, if anybody's looking for $1, you might want to call that man up because he's doing kind of well right now. But
absolutely,
yes, new addition to the Dodgers. What did you see, and what are your thoughts about his addition to the squad?
Well, I mean, what can't you say about, the reigning MVP of the league? He is incredible, and not just from, an on-the-field player standpoint, but, to see him on the opening day of the MLB take a stance and kneel, being the only Dodger to do so was really chilling, and just you can tell that he's excited and ready to bring a World Series to Los Angeles. And, I think everybody's bought in, from Dave Roberts, as the manager to, the last man on the roster. So it was cool to see him in person and to see, the excellence, getting a few hits off. And, obviously the Dodgers spanked the Giants, their rivals. So that was also, as a Dodger fan personally, to be able to watch that up close and personal was great.
Indeed.
And this is Coach B, Fox Sports 1350, eSportsNet. Now we talk about Mookie Betts, 12 years, $365 million. For everyone who doesn't know the details. Now, the Dodgers have been considered the favorites to win the title for a while. Houston stole one from us, but that's okay. Is this the year that the Dodgers, with Mookie Betts and everything they've got around them, is this the year that you believe we can finally get that chip?
I'm a scorned Dodgers fan, so I'm coming from a little bit different perspective here. But, from the roster makeup to just seeing how willing these guys are to interchange, leadoff hitters, to, really buying into what Dave Roberts has designed, from a play standpoint, it all looks good. But it's all looked good before. I don't, and also, the health of Kershaw is obviously a huge component in that. And we've already seen early that he, was dealing with some back issues once more. So I think if everybody can stay healthy and, if this, heightened continued sense of play continues, then absolutely I do think that they could. But I've, again, been here before and been heartbroken at the end of the season. So I think it's a little bit too early to say, but all indications seem like that's where they're headed.
And, one question I want to ask you, and this is some, sports reporter to sports reporter. One thing that is funny is when you go to the game, because I do the play-by-play for the Agua Caliente Clippers, the Clippers G League team.
Yeah, G League. Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that you hear down there on the court, you wouldn't want children to hear. So I'll ask you that with an empty stadium, are the players making a better conscious effort thinking, hey, people can probably hear what we're really saying?
Honestly, I can't speak for, the players, but I know Danny Green and a couple of the media availabilities before this restart happened, he's kind of expressed that his concern about, what's said. And I think when you get on the court and that adrenaline's pumping and, you're in the rhythm of the game, I don't think they're too conscious about what's coming out of their mouths.
Very true.
I do think that there might be a little bit added, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't yell that to the ref, this time we're to an opposing player. But, I would just love to be really close to hear all of the exchanges, and I think fans are super excited also to get some of that access. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see how many people really apply that and really think about that on a conscious basis.
Right. And as I said, I work with the Agua Caliente Clippers. Now I know you're a Laker fan, but are you going to be okay when the Clippers win the chip this year?
Not when they win. Oh, not when they win. That's some strong language there. Honestly, I think I was on a couple podcasts last week, and I've said it. The Clippers are dangerous. And
wait, say that one more time. One more time, please. We couldn't hear you. Sorry about that.
But no, I'm a rational Lakers fan.
No
so
doubt.
The Clippers are dangerous, and I think if they're healthy. And if they have all of their players, then, they will give the Lakers a run for their money. And I would love to see that matchup just so the Lakers can beat them and we won't have these conversations anymore.
Wow.
Because, the Clippers curse is real. And I was in, the Staples Center night in and night out, and I didn't see not one banner hanging from the rafters. But, that's kind of here in North America.
Well, okay.
Well, you know what? I've heard that the Lakers signed a deal with the History Channel, and they're going to show their old championship runs because it's history, but people love to talk about it. But no.
That's good.
Yeah.
Tell LeBron that.
Right.
Year 17, he's locked in and ready. He's just like, you want to talk about history and watch? Okay. MVP season, coming to you soon. So,
True indeed.
Yeah,
True indeed.
And one last question before we let you go. And again, we have Miss Lauren Jones live on Fox Sports Radio, Coach being eternal. Now, I've been to a Lakers practice, when LeBron has been on the squad. And to watch him, when you see him out there with the team, especially when they're running 5-on-5s, and you see him just shouting and you just see how in control, that's what really shocked me was his awareness. I think a lot of people are so fascinated by his physical presence and his ability, but just the cerebral part and how aware he is and how much he knows. And and this was when he first got on the team. I saw today that you tweeted out about that Frank Vogel was really surprised about that. Give me your thoughts about that, about just having a guy like LeBron on there and what he does.
Well, I think you see it on the court, you see it on the bench. He's a funny guy, he's a joking guy. His teammates love him. But they know when it's time to focus and turn it on. And I think this team in particular obviously has a lot of championship pedigree, from JaVale McGee with the Warriors to Danny Green, with the Raptors. So they all know what the expectations were, and I think that was set very early with this team. And so you're able to see the buy-in from, 1 through 15 on that roster, but also just the amount of leadership that he displays and his basketball acumen and knowledge. Everybody wants to soak up some of that. You're playing with one of the greatest generational, historical players that we've seen since, probably Kobe. in terms of just his ability to command the floor for so long. You know, he's done this for 17. This is 17.
He lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
I mean, I first heard about LeBron in the 11th grade.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but again, so Ms. Lauren Jones, thank you so much for taking out the time. I know it was quick, and I just appreciate your time. But just real quick before we let you go off air, please let everybody know where they can find you.
Absolutely. You can find me on all social platforms at Lojo Media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I love to engage with fans of the Lakers, of the Dodgers, of anything in between.
And the Clippers.
So definitely hit me up there. But thank you guys. It was fun, and I would love to talk some more trash soon.
Yes, indeed. We'll make sure we make it a point to get at you, okay?
And I got this on my cell phone. I got Michael Jackson Dangerous going. I don't know if you can hear it. That's for you.
You take care, young lady. You enjoy your weekend.
Thank you so much. You guys be safe.
There it is right there. Miss Lauren Jones. Great interview right there. Lauren Jones.
Who? Lauren Jones. I like that.
That was dope. But yeah, no doubt about it. Again, we're going to take a quick break. Coach B, when we come back, we're going to be chatting to our guy about Iron Mike Tyson, and we're really excited to talk about that.
I have a fan moment with Mike.
We're going to go to break real quick. We'll come right back after this. Coach B, let's do it.
Let's go ahead and do this. You're listening to IE Sportsnet, protected by the Riverside Sheriff's Association with Coach B.
And Eternal, when it comes to Inland Empire Sports, you know the conversation starts and stops here, live on Fox Sports 1350.
The Office of Stacey Ann Holgate is a proud sponsor of Inland Empire Sports. Located in Riverside at 3641 Adams Street, Stacey Ann's office is able to assist you with your financial goals in planning for your future. Her office can also assist you with your business insurance, home, auto, and much more. Give Stacey Ann Holgate's office a call today at 951-977-9899. That's 951-977-9899. And mention Fox Sports AM 1350. Stacey loves her community and the kids in it. She knows they're the future, and investing in them is an investment towards a healthier community. Wouldn't you want to do business with someone who cares about your children almost as much as you do? Contact Stacey Ann Holgate's insurance agency at 951-977-9899 for ways she can help you and your family with all of your insurance needs today. Located at 3641 Adams Street in Riverside, California, Stacey Ann Holgate Insurance Agency. She's on the air because she cares. Give Stacey Ann Holgate's office a call today at 951-977-9899. That's 951-977-9899.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Kinematics Physical Therapy and Sports Performance looks forward to partnering with you in the restoration of your wellness and expediting you back to your active life. We'd love to see you at our spacious clinic, conveniently located in Norco at 1801 3rd Street, Suite 101. Call us at 951-777-2178. That's 951-777-2178. Or visit our website at kptsport.com. Our clinic is an outpatient orthopedic clinic designed to treat general pain, postoperative conditions, and athletic rehabilitation using research standards of care. When you step through our doors, your pain becomes ours, and we will work diligently to help manage whatever life has thrown at you. We provide educational and screening services to the community free of charge. Services provided include health screenings, monthly health courses, sports venue coverage, and fundraising. We'd love to meet you at our spacious clinic, conveniently located in Norco at 1801 3rd Street, Suite 101. Call us at 951-777-2178. That's 951-777-2178. Or visit our website at kptsport.com. All are welcome whom aren't afraid to recover their potential.
And you know I'm gonna get on Shaq with that picnic table suit.
Yo, this is Aries Spears on Fox Sports Radio.
We are Fox Sports.
Yes, we are back in the great city of Riverside at the iHeartRadio studios. It's IE Sportsnet, protected by the Riverside Sheriff's Association, right here live on Fox Sports Radio, AM 1350. I am your host, Eternal.
And I am the one and only Coach B. You know, when it comes to Inland Empire Sports, you know the conversation starts and stops here. We're also streaming at foxsports1350.com and the iHeartRadio app.
We do have a special caller on the Boost Mobile Celebrity Be Heard hotline. Caller, if you would please do us the courtesy of introducing yourself to the Fox Sports Radio audience.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Tank Obadiah, the Sweet Science Examiner.
There it is right there, man. Hey, look, Tank, thank you
right
so
here
much,
in
man.
Southern California, IE representing.
I love it. Love to hear that, brother. Thank you so much for calling us in today. We appreciate that, obviously. I don't know if I'm hearing like a little bit of feedback, but if you can't turn your radio down, just a little bit in the background. That could be yes, but don't trip. At any rate, thank you. I always see your Instagram heavily into boxing. Give our audience a little bit of breakdown and some background on your experience with boxing.
Absolutely. So my background actually is mixed martial arts. I grew up learning mixed martial arts. It was my father, actually, though, who was a boxer out of the Marines. So that's where I got my love for boxing and my interest in boxing, because as I was growing up as a kid in martial arts, he was the one that would use boxing skills to teach me, little insider things that would help me during my competitions. So in that time, also, you got to understand, I'm an old man, so I grew up in the 80s where boxing was at a pinnacle when it came to stars like Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson, and my dad would just teach me the game at that point, what it is that they're doing. Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, etc. So that's where it started for me.
No doubt. And we wanted to get you on the show because obviously, in the middle of the pandemic, folks are having a quarantine. We're just salivating at the opportunity of any kind of sports. But recently, the contract got signed. Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. Now, everybody thought it was going to be Holyfield, and we thought we were about to get a ear bite remix, but it didn't happen like that. Give us your thoughts about what you thought about this whole fight happening, and were you surprised about them picking Roy Jones?
My thoughts about the exhibition is let me start with the Roy Jones aspect over Evander Holyfield. Actually, I wanted to see the Roy Jones matchup instead of Holyfield.
Okay,
just me personally. Yes, there were talks about the trilogy happening with those two, and as you said, the bite heard around the world. But me personally, we already seen how they match up. I thought it was always intriguing to see how Roy and Mike Tyson match up. To give your callers and all of our listeners a little backstory, a quick backstory. If you look at the memoirs of James Prince, who's a boxing promoter, used to promote Andre Ward. Now he manages fighters like Shakur Stevenson. If you read his memoir, he has a chapter in his book, The Art and Science of Respect, where he talks about in 2012, he was going to set up the fight between Roy Jones and Mike Tyson back then.
Okay.
Right? So this was intriguing to boxing fans like myself back then. But as we know, in 2002, what ended up happening was James Prince brought them both to his ranch in Texas. They both got to sit down and agree that they were going to go 25 mil apiece and fight each other. However, they had to go and try to generate this money, this $50 million, so each fighter can get paid.
Right.
Well, what happened was the closest they got was a $17 million offer for each fighter from the Maloof brothers, who have casinos in Las Vegas and were owners of the Sacramento Kings, as we know.
Right.
So Mike was cool with that. According to James Prince, let's make the $17 million, let's get it on, me and Roy Jones. But Roy Jones said that, he wanted to stand on the principle of the fact that he agreed on $25 million, and if it wasn't going to be 25, he wasn't going to fight. So what ended up happening was, we know Mike Tyson ended up fighting Lynch Lewis and got knocked out. 2 years later, Roy Jones Jr. Took the rematch with Antonio Talbert, and he got knocked out. So that killed that fight back then.
Right.
So fast forward to right now, when the talks came back up saying that, hey, Mike Tyson is interested in coming back for exhibition, for me, it was always like, you know what? I've already seen what it looks like when Holyfield and Tyson get in the ring when they were active. So at this point in their respective careers, I probably didn't really want to see that. And a lot of people, when they watch boxing, they view Holyfield as a fighter that they do not want to see get injured in terms of any brain damage.
Right.
slurring the speech and things like that. You don't want anybody putting themselves in any kind of dangerous situation just to entertain us, you know. So when they went with Roy, that made me happy because I thought that stylistically it would be an interesting thing to see, albeit an exhibition.
Indeed.
Absolutely. And when you look at the fighters, Roy Jones at one point, he was considered the best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. He won titles at 160, 168, 170, and heavyweight. Mike Tyson was the youngest heavyweight champion ever, and everyone knows that. What can we expect in this fight? We talked a little bit about this before you came in, where Roy Jones, it seems when he went to heavyweight, he wasn't as successful. So it seemed a little sluggish. Is he's going to be able to throw him with Mike? I've seen videos of Mike, and Mike looks like he's got it. He hasn't lost a step.
Right. Well, what's interesting about that is between the two of them, Roy's been more active than the two.
Okay.
So, you know, Roy's last fight was in 2018. Mike's last fight was in 2005.
Right.
So, you know, between the two of them, who's been more active, you know, as far as the muscle memory on what they're gonna be able to do, it's probably Roy. His body's probably going to be more prepared on any impactful moves that has to be done in the ring during the exhibition. Whereas in Mike, we don't know how he's gonna hold up when you have to get in there and do pivoting and do a lot of switch movements and counters and things like that. We're not sure. Now,
and for like 6 rounds, you know what I mean? That's 3 minutes.
Huh?
That's 3 minutes, 6 rounds. That's a long. I mean, people don't think that like that, but that's a long time to be in there.
That's
when
a
you're
long
50
time.
plus.
My thing is this: what's gonna make it interesting, though, guys. What's gonna make it interesting to me is what's gonna happen. Let's say all things considered, we look at things optimistically and say neither of these 50-year-old legendary warriors are gonna get injured in the fight. Right? Let's hope for the best. And say none of these guys get injured. Being at their age, this is the hurt business at the end of the day.
Right.
So let's say they get in there and all things considered, they're all right. What's going to be interesting is what happens competitively between these two guys. We're talking about, two very, very high-level competitors when they were on top of their game. What's going to happen when Roy Jones hit Mike really hard? What's going to happen when Mike hits Roy Jones really hard and it turns from an exhibition to a competition? And they're saying, you know what, this is a pay-per-view. I've always wanted to fight you. I never thought you were better than me. In my mind, what's going to happen when that comes out in, let's say, round 4 or round 3 or round 5? That's going to make it interesting because now that's going to raise the level of competition in the exhibition.
Right. Well, and so we talked about Mike's 54. His record was 50-6. Roy Jones 51. His final record was 66-9. Like you said, he won his last fight in 2018. He beat Scott Sigmund. Now, what are your predictions? I am probably the biggest Money Man Mike fan ever. I had a fan moment when I met him, and my lips started to quiver. But what are your thoughts? What do you predict in this fight? I got Mike.
I'm giving you a drum roll right here, brother. You got a drum roll, man. So go ahead.
I'm gonna be the party pooper. I think this is gonna end up something similar to a draw where you're not going to be able to tell which guy won.
Wow.
We couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear what he said.
You say who going to win?
I thought he said Mike won. That's what I thought.
A little competitive scrap. The winners of this, honestly, if nobody gets hurt and injured, is going to be us.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, now I can hear you. Now your phone's coming through. Now I can hear you.
There we go. No, thanks again, Tank, man. We appreciate it, brother. We got to make sure as soon as this fight wraps up, we got to have you back on air, man, and we wrap again, okay?
Absolutely, gentlemen. I appreciate what you guys do. Fans of both you guys, Coach B and Eternal, keep rocking, keep representing for the IE, and putting these sports on for these young people and all of us that are fans of listening to you guys every morning on Saturdays.
All right, man,
I just appreciate the fact he knows that Coach B comes first and Eternal comes second.
Say that again?
Here you go, all right?
Say
you enjoy your weekend, brother.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Coach B, then Eternal. Is what you're saying. But you know what? I haven't reported. Is it 6 rounds or 8 rounds? Because I say that it's supposed to be 8 rounds.
Oh, maybe it is 8. I could, because you looking at it.
But they may have changed it. You never know. Because 8 rounds is a lot.
Let me tell you something. I used to wrestle. And I know I sound like I used to be prime king. But I used to wrestle, man. And it was 3 minutes, what they call quarters or what have you. And let me tell you something. I used to, it was, that first 3 minutes was dramatic. So
and that's tough at 103. But let's go ahead.
Side. Boom, boom, boom,
Let's
boom,
get up
boom.
out of here. Thank you for listening to IE Sports Net, protected by the Riverside Sheriff's Association with Coach B.
And Eternal, when it comes to Inland Empire Sports, you know the conversation starts and stops here. Live on Fox Sports Radio.
Who do we have on today?
About to say, big shout out to our girl Lauren Jones and my man Tank. Thanks again, man. We'll stay tuned. Y'all been be safe out there. Have a good weekend.